Have you ever woken up, looked outside, and thought, wait, why are the clouds just standing there? Then you grab your coffee and it refuses to pour down? Congratulations, the Earth probably just called in sick for its morning spin. By the way, where are you watching from, and what time is it right now? If the planet really stopped turning, at least we'd still be stuck in the same time zone together. The morning began like any other. Coffee poured, phone scrolled, gravity politely doing its job. Then the world twitched. Not an earthquake, not an explosion. Just a brief, cosmic hiccup, the kind you'd miss if you blinked too confidently. Your mug slid a few centimeters to the left, then stopped, as if reconsidering its purpose, and for a second, nothing moved. The wind forgot which way was forward. The ceiling fan kept turning, but the air stayed still, a polite form of betrayal. Silence blinked once. Outside, the clouds seemed confused. They hung there, as though someone had pressed pause halfway through a breath. Birds flapped once and just hovered, like they'd lost the patch notes for physics. You tried walking, but the ground beneath you felt hesitant, like it wasn't sure it should still be ground. No alarms, no sirens. Just this eerie stillness, and the faint suspicion that your heartbeat had become the loudest sound on Earth. You whispered, mostly to test if sound still worked. Did the world just stop? And the silence, patient, infinite, almost answered yes. By noon, the sky still hadn't decided what color to be. You could feel the sunlight, but it didn't move, it just sat there, heavy and awkward, like a guest who stayed too long after the party ended. Cars stalled in perfect rows, as if embarrassed to be seen breaking physics. Airplanes hung mid-climb, their pilots probably wondering whether to keep pretending. The ocean looked flat, not calm, just flat, like it had forgotten what wave meant. People tried to keep working, because that's what people do when the planet gives up. Emails were still being sent, some even delivered. A man jogged in place, sweating out of loyalty rather than motion. News anchors said, scientists are investigating, which is code for no idea yet. The global wind maps went blank. Even the flags on government buildings took the day off. Without rotation, the air lost its script. It stopped circling, mixing, breathing for us. The side facing the sun began to cook, the far side started to freeze. Earth was still spinning in our memories, but not in reality. For the first time, time itself felt personal. Because when the planet stops turning, seconds don't pass. They accumulate. The first real problem wasn't the wind. Every mountain, ocean, and city suddenly remembered it had been traveling sideways all along. It was momentum. Everything on Earth had been moving at 1,600 kilometers per hour, and then, politely, it wasn't. The oceans tried to keep going, because water doesn't like being told to stop. Coastlines vanished under walls of moving memory, entire seas sliding east like spilled thoughts. Cities on the equator folded, not exploded, buildings bending, glass sighing, as inertia finished its unfinished sentence. Then came the air. It didn't crash, it scraped, screaming across continents, as if the atmosphere had been yanked by its collar. Mountains wore clouds like bruises. Deserts inhaled storms they never ordered. And through it all, the sky stayed mostly silent. A few lightning bolts wandered around, confused, looking for gravity to blame. Scientists tried to explain, but language broke before physics did. They said things like Coriolis forces, and everyone nodded, pretending they didn't miss the spinning. The clocks stopped agreeing with each other. The sun, once predictable, now just hovered a bright, indifferent witness. Half the planet began to bake, asphalt softened like bread in an oven. The other half froze so fast that breath turned into glass before it could escape your lips. The twilight zone between them, thin as regret, became the only livable place left. That's where the last of us moved. Huddled along the line between fire and ice, trying to invent a new definition of morning. And somewhere in the static of collapsing radio towers, one voice asked quietly, did we stop the Earth, or did it stop us? Eventually, the noise gave up too. Engines ran out of arguments, radios fell into polite static, and footsteps lost their echo. Even the air, what was left of it, seemed to tiptoe. You could hear your own pulse from across the room. It sounded almost mechanical, like the planet had outsourced its last rhythm to you. The sun just hung there, unblinking. On one side of the world, deserts hardened into mirrors, bright enough to erase shadows. On the other, cities slept under mountains of frozen air, towers turned to quiet sculptures of their former noise. Time, once linear, began looping on itself. Days refused to end. Nights forgot how to begin. Everything existed in a kind of cosmic hesitation, as if the universe was holding its breath, waiting to see if we'd apologize. Humor stopped working too. Jokes need timing. and timing depends on movement. Without rotation, punchlines just hovered like forgotten satellites of laughter. And in that stillness, something strange happened. You could feel the shape of silence. It had texture like fabric stretched over a memory. We started listening to things we'd ignored. The soft hum of molecules rearranging their loyalties, the slow creak of continents cooling off, the almost human sigh of the ocean freezing mid-tide. Maybe this was what peace sounded like before we invented noise. In the stillness, we began to understand motion by its absence, not through science, but through longing. We missed things we never noticed missing. The tilt of a shadow, the rhythm of wind brushing trees, the gentle spinning that had always carried us forward without permission. The survivors built small fires and talked quietly, as if sound itself might shatter the delicate balance between burning and freezing. Each breath felt heavier now, like gravity had come back, but only for the lungs. Someone said, "It's strange, isn't it? We used to run everywhere, and now the planet's standing still. But somehow, we're the ones tired." We watched the sun hang above the horizon, stuck between sunrise and sunset, its light neither new nor ending, just existing, like an unfinished sentence. It was then we realized the spinning had never been just about physics. It was about mercy, the constant turning that kept day forgiving night, heat forgiving cold, life forgiving death. Without motion, everything became honest. You couldn't hide from cause or consequence. They both stood beside you, quiet and undeniable. And maybe that's what balance really was. Not perfection, but the fragile agreement between opposites, whispering to each other, "Keep moving." In the end, it wasn't an explosion or a collapse. It was a sigh long, slow, and strangely human. The planet stood perfectly still, but the air around it shimmered, as if remembering what motion used to feel like. Somewhere, an old weather vane turned once more, not from wind, but from memory. A leaf detached itself from a frozen branch and drifted through the air so slowly. You could count the thoughts between its movements. The earth, finally at rest, looked peaceful. Not dead, not broken, just done with hurrying. And maybe that was always the secret rhythm we never heard. That every spin, every sunrise, was just the planet breathing in. Now it had simply exhaled. Somewhere, a child still holds a spinning globe, watching it slow down, not knowing the world already has. Stillness settled like dusk across everything, and for the first time, silence wasn't empty. It was full of everything we had ever moved for.